Hello music friends, what's up? Marcel Haster here from liveprog. Well, after some camera trouble I am finally back online and finally being able to bring you a new review with my new camera. So I'm very curious how this is going to work out. My trusted H1 Zoom recorder is at the shop right now because it's broken as well, so the audio you'll hear is directly what's recorded by the camera. So it's a little bit of a tryout, but I hope it's going to work out. Well, without further ado, let me introduce the genre I have for you in this review. I have for you death metal! Yes! It's been a while since I did that, and this time it is a really heavy review. Now, death metal is an interesting genre because it evokes some powerful emotions in people. There are these people that when they only hear the term death metal, you know, they didn't even hear the music, but just the term death metal, they go like, ah, no, please stop it, that is not music, turn it off. Alright, and then you have these people that go, death metal, yeah! I'm sorry.
Hi there. We're Until Rain.
We're Until Rain.
We're Until Rain.
Hi, we're Until Rain.
We're Until Rain, and you're watching liveprog.
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 I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened there, but well, I lost my cool. I'm sorry. I'll keep myself in check. Won't happen again. But at the same time, that shows, you know, there are some powerful emotions that people can feel when it comes to certain genres of music, and especially something like death metal, because, well, it is a more extreme kind of music compared to most of the albums I review here on liveprog, of course. And yet here I am, bringing you a death metal album. This one. Words of Farewell, the Black Wild Yonder. Why am I bringing you a review of this album? Well, the simple reason is I kind of stumbled by chance on this album, on this band, Words of Farewell, as it was included in a few digital promos I received. And I started listening to it, I was curious, and I listened to it and it sounded not as I expected that, well, a death metal album would sound like. It sounded very interesting and I kept on listening, and I got in touch with the promoter and I said, wow, I really like this one, I'd like to do a review of it. I've done two other death metal album reviews in the past, a Dutch band Endless Cycle and an Oriental band, Archon, but as far, that is, well, the most death metal I have listened to. I mean, normally I'm not such a metalhead. There are a couple of metal bands that I like, but you know, the glory days of Metallica and some Annihilator, and that is about it for me. Well, people might be surprised, you know, here I am bringing you another death metal band. But let me put this in perspective so you will understand a little bit why I'm bringing you this. Because there used to be a sticker here, you know, these cursed stickers that I hate. But I got this one off, very nice. But that sticker says atmospheric melodic death metal. And I'd like to expand that a little bit. I'd like to call this album atmospheric melodic progressive death metal. Now there are people that will say atmospheric and death, that does not compute, that does not go together. Well, those people haven't heard this album, Words of Farewell, the Black Wild Yonder, because then they will understand that it does go together. Very surprisingly maybe, but these guys made it possible, and they made it seem almost easy, because I really love the songwriting on this album. A little bit of history on the band Words of Farewell. Who are they? Where are they from? They are from Germany. They come from the Mönchengladbach area, and I found out that it's not too far away from my hometown, so, you know, hopefully maybe it would be cool to have these guys for an interview one day. So, well, you never know, but at least I have a review for them. They were formed in 2007. They started playing live, they started recording a few EPs to get some promotion out, get their name growing in the scene, because of course as you are a young starting band it is not easy. On their own they managed to record their debut album, which was released in 2011, called Immersion. Now, I had a chance to listen to a couple of tracks of that album on YouTube, and again I really liked what I heard. That album was picked up by AFM Records, who released it worldwide, which is very great for these guys of course, and of course AFM Records also helped the band release this album. As you can see, right there is the logo of AFM Records. So, a great label bringing out some amazing albums, such as this one, and I'm really happy that I discovered this album because I've been listening to this album a lot and I really love what I heard. And it surprised me because I never thought I would be listening to death metal, but here I am doing it and really loving it even. That is the cool thing about it. Let me introduce the band. Let's start with the guitar department, because that plays of course a very prominent role on this album. Erik Gaßmus and Henrik Tschierschky. They both play lead and they both play rhythm guitars. Then we have Konstantin Voßhoff on bass and Tristan Wegner on drums. Now, of course the band has this really tight and really awesome rhythm section. And I say the four names I just mentioned, they all form that rhythm section, because especially in metal you have these really, pounding riffs along with the bass and the drums, and that forms a fantastic rhythm. That is also what you have on this album. Then we have Alexander Otto, the vocalist. Now, of course, death metal, you expect grunts. There are a lot of grunts on this album. As a matter of fact, there are no clean vocals on this album. It is all grunts. And then we have the man that really, brings this atmospheric element in the music, Leo Wichmann on keyboards. Now, again, a death metal band with a keyboard player. That is unusual. But often, when you have a metal band and you add a keyboard player, they usually call it a prog metal band. That's why I would say, but that's not the main reason why, I would say progressive death metal. But there are a lot of other reasons why this is a very progressive band. Now, of course, this is a heavy album. That is something you expect. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be called death metal. But at the same time, there are a lot of elements in the music that form a sort of a counter to that metal violence. And that is mainly brought in by Leo Wichmann, the keyboard player, but also by the guitars and also by the bass and also by the drums, of course. They add some nice elements to it, some rest moments, some unexpected moments. For example, there are a couple of tracks that have a really spacey, ambient intro, a key intro. For example, tracks like The Outer Rim, which is, I really like the intro, really spacey keyboards, and then it really comes in that really awesome, crunchy riffing. I love that very much. Another track where you also find that ambient intro in it is, for example, Antibiosis, but there they add a little bit of piano in the music. And again, it may sound a little bit strange, but it works so well and it gives you a nice leadway to the guitars and the metal violence that come in. And despite the fact that it is death metal, it never becomes messy or anything. It is really, I would almost say, a little bit more accessible kind of metal that a lot of more people will enjoy. I mean, people who usually will not very quickly listen to death metal still might like this album quite a bit. I mean, they won me over, I really became a fan of these guys through this album. So they must be doing something right here. And yes, they are. And there's a lot more to enjoy on this album. There are a couple of other tracks that really stand out. And in this respect, I have to mention the track Damaged Beyond Repair. That is probably one of the most progressive songs you'll find on the album. Again, it has this nice intro where, they don't start the songs off immediately with these thundering riffs and everything. There are a couple of tracks that really start out with the metal parts, but most tracks start off a little bit quiet and give a little bit of a leadway to the heavier parts. But Damaged Beyond Repair has this amazing bass line in it, but it also has in the vocal part a nice change. It has this whispering part by Alexander Otto, and I like that very much. It really works well with that song, and I like the way that they created that song. That shows that these guys are really creative when it comes to their music, you know. They've taken elements from death metal, they have taken elements from progressive rock, from ambient, and they managed to mix it together and create their own sound in this. And this album simply shows what an amazing guys these are. Excellent musicians, but also excellent songwriters, and the album has a fantastic production, which is also very important. The opening track, Continuum Shift, also starts with this really nice bass line in it. I liked it very much. There are a couple of tracks where the bass stands out. Konstantin Voßhoff there takes up a lead role in there, and it really shows what an amazing bass player he is. Wow, Telltale Notion. You know, if you're curious to this album and you heard my review and you heard some bits and pieces in my review, but you want to hear some more, check out YouTube. Check out Telltale Notion, because the band made a video of that track where you can also see the band perform that track. And it's a really cool video, but it's a really cool song. And I would almost say that is a catchy song. I mean, once that song is stuck in your head, it will stick with you, and you will also try and sing the chorus along a little bit. And you know, it is grunge, but you can fairly understand what it is about, and that is, well, I think that is at least a little bit better. I mean, with grunge you often have the idea that, well, it only can express a limited number of emotions. Rage, anger, frustration, depression, those kind of things. I mean, with grunge you don't sing about unicorns and rainbows and that kind of stuff. So again, when you read the lyrics on the album, you will notice that, you know, they're not happy stories, but at the same time it is not overly depressing. As a matter of fact, you know, I had a moment where I was feeling a little bit depressed, you know, I had a bad day. I played this album and I ended up with a smile on my face, because this album cheered me up, because in the way that these guys bring their music, it is filled with emotion. Despite the fact that there are grunts, I really like the way that they managed to bring in a lot of emotion into this album, and that makes it stand out apart from a lot of things I have heard. Now, I told you a lot of things, I probably missed a lot of things, I probably could tell you a lot more about this album, but I say, I hope I made you curious, I hope you will be interested in checking this album out. Words of Farewell, the Black Wild Yonder. So, the verdict on this album, I'm going to be very simple about this. I was going to award this album with a 9, this one, because I think it is a very good album, but I'm going to give them 1 extra point for the simple fact that they managed to make me a fan. They won me over, and I am a fan of these guys, and to be honest, not every album does that with me. There are a lot of albums I really like, I really love, but there are only a few albums that really make me a fan of the band. This one, the Black Wild Yonder, has done that, so therefore they get a big 10. And therefore I say, check this album out. The end! Words of Farewell, the Black Wild Yonder. Atmospheric, melodic, progressive death metal. Is this an album you would listen to even though you may not like death metal at all? Are you curious now and willing to check it out? Let me know as a comment on my YouTube channel. And if you are a fan of this band, let me know what you think of this album. And while you're there, click on the subscribe button so you will stay up to date on more reviews coming your way. Of course, you can visit my website liveprog.com, and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And I hope you will see me at a new review.